Oh, do you think is it a possibility that Fedorov could be reinstated now?
There is such a possibility. I believe that at the moment Mr. Fedorov is considering other options.
Volodymyr Zelensky has sacked his army's commander-in-chief after days of protests in Kyiv. Those protests snowballed after he initially sided with the military and sacked his defence minister, Mikhailo Fedorov, who was pretty popular with the public. He'd had clashes with generals in his 6 months in charge, trying to reform how the army work. Now, the commander-in-chief, Oleksandr Merezhko, has lost his job. Tetiana Shevchuk is head of international relations at the Ukrainian NGO, the Anti-Corruption Action Centre. We tried to speak to her last week. I'm pleased to say she joins us now. Tetiana, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this the outcome you wanted?
It's not a final outcome. It's just one step because it's appointing on one personality. It's very strange probably to talk that people go to the street to protest for the change of the military leadership. But here we are. It's not a very convenient situation even for Ukrainians because we are in the middle of war and people are heavily invested in the war. And in 4 years, a lot of problems accommodated in the military. And Mr. Syrski was a representative of conservative military who didn't want changes and reforms. And people wanted him to go.
What more do you want? You suggest that, it can't just hinge on one personality. That sounds like it's not the end of your protests and concerns then. What more do you need Volodymyr Zelensky to do to, make you more confident, I suppose?
Yeah, so General Drapati, who is appointed as chief commander of army right now, is representative of younger military officers. He's in mid-40s. He was the one who actually was kind of raised with this war. In 2014, he was one of the officers, first responders to the Russian invasion in that time. And he is highly respected within the military by a lot of officers, by younger soldiers. So he's like epitome of change in the military. And first of all, respect to the soldiers' lives, more use of technologies, less, attacks, like meat grinders, types of attacks that just do not respect people's life.
Do you worry? Sorry, Tetiana. Do you worry about undermining the government, I suppose, or just the images of these protests being used by Russia as propaganda of, say, Ukrainians divided?
At this moment, we don't care about Russian propaganda. Whatever comes out of their mouths, it's a lie, and they would use whatever they can to undermine Ukraine. And we checked actually their reaction last night. They are pretty pissed because Russians do not protest, even though the war hitting them even much harder than Ukrainians. Hopefully they have much worse generals than we do. And it's quite unbelievable for them that Ukrainians can go to the streets and participate in this type of governmental choices.
Tetiana, thank you so much. We're very grateful for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Tetiana Shevchuk is head of international relations at the Ukrainian NGO, the Anti-Corruption Action Centre. She's been one of those protesting, and as you can hear there, she's pretty defiant about it.
President Zelensky has sacked Ukraine's head of the army, Oleksandr Merezhko, just days after removing the country's defence minister, Mikhailo Fedorov. The removal of Fedorov triggered nationwide protests, and there have been calls for Merezhko's sacking at the same protests. Well, we're joined now by Oleksandr Merezhko, a Ukrainian MP and chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. What is behind the sacking of the head of the army?
It was one of the demands by people who took to the streets and who didn't agree with the dismissal of the defense minister. They see that there is a conflict between Defense Minister Mr. Fedorov on the one hand and General Syrski on the other hand, who is commanding commander-in-chief. But people view it more broadly as a broader conflict between generations, between different even philosophies, if you will, how to conduct war. So it was one of the demands, and it was not an easy decision for the president. He decided to dismiss General Syrskyi only after numerous consultations with the generals, with the representatives of civil society. So now we expect what will happen with regard to Mr. Fedorov, whether or not he will be reinstated. But he was already offered a position by the president.
Oh, do you think is it a possibility that Fedorov could be reinstated now?
There is such a possibility. I believe that at the moment, Mr. Fedorov is considering other options. One of them, which was offered by the president, is to become a sort of coordinator when it comes to military technologies, a sort of Tsar dealing with military technologies, because Mr. Fedorov has proved that he's very efficient in this field. So, but we have to wait and see. The parliament will gather next month in August, and I think that the final decision by Mr. Fedorov will be taken just maybe in a few days or within a week.
Oleksandr, can you just explain to listeners, because it's a little bit difficult to follow this row. It seems to be a row over how to conduct a war, whether it's the more traditional method versus drone technology. It seems to be a row over the evolution of this conflict. Is that what's going on here, or is there something deeper? Is there an element of corruption, of a personality problem? What's at the heart of this?
Well, there are different versions of these events. One of them is it's about personal contact and conflict, a row between Mr. Fedorov and General Syrskyi. The other more widespread version of events is that it's about different approaches, and I tend to stick to this second one. One of the journalists have also mentioned that one of the dimensions may be an attempt by Mr. Fedorov to put things in order in the ministry when it comes to procurement and to prevent different corruption schemes. So he might have stepped on someone's toes, so to speak, and it might have caused this kind of backlash against his reforms.
Just finally, Oleksandr, where is Ukraine at the moment in terms of the war effort, and where is President Zelensky in terms of support for him from the Ukrainian people?
We're definitely not losing the war. We're beginning to win the war. On the ground, situation is in favor of Ukraine. The tide has already turned in our favor, and time is on our side. We destroy more enemies' manpower than they managed to conscript. We also take more territory back than Russians managed to occupy. So overall situation is very positive. At the same time, there are some serious difficulties. One of them is the lack of Patriot systems, which help us to repel Russian ballistic missiles. And we don't have enough these Patriot systems. As a result, Russians manage to kill our civilian population and to continue to destroy our critical infrastructure. And of course, ahead of us might be a very difficult winter. We are aware of this.
And does President Zelensky remain as popular as he ever was?
Interestingly, if we're talking about polls, his popularity is solid, and even compared with Western European leaders, they could be envious about his popularity within the country, despite the war, despite difficult economic decisions, because it's hard to be popular when you have to take decisions which are definitely not popular, but they're desperately needed in times of war.
Oleksandr, always great to hear from you. Thank you very much. Oleksandr Merezhko there, Ukrainian MP and chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee.